Hi, my name is Graham Parker and this is the Hoof GP YouTube channel, and in this video I'm going to explain how I became a professional hoof trimmer and how you guys can follow suit. So first things first, a lot of guys from the city and girls from the city who watch this don't actually have any experience of cows. A lot of you guys will have, but if you don't, you need to get yourself some. Working with cows is absolutely essential, and knowing how they think is key to being successful when you're looking after other people's cows, especially when you're a hoof trimmer. So if you don't know cows inside out, back to front and upside down, go and get yourself a job on any farm with cattle, a beef farm, a dairy farm, it doesn't matter. What does matter is that you know cows really, really well and instinctively well, so that you are best placed to look after other people's livestock. Next up is experience of hoof trimming. A lot of guys who attend courses or set out to be professional hoof trimmers have got some sort of previous knowledge of hoof trimming. You guys are lucky, you have the Hoof GP. But if you want a bit more hands-on experience before you actually go on a course, tag along with a hoof trimmer, a local hoof trimmer, maybe the hoof trimmer that works at your farm, watch the farmer that works there. Just gain any experience you can. Even holding a knife and using a knife a couple of times before you go on a course is massively beneficial to you. But before you rush off and book a course which could cost hundreds or even thousands of pounds, are you going to get any work? How do you know? What are the guarantees? Well, there's no guarantees in life. But my thought always was, if I did the best job I possibly could and charged a reasonable price, then why wouldn't I get work? So why wouldn't you? So my advice is, get yourself some background knowledge on hoof trimming and get yourself booked on a course. There are loads and loads of them out there. And when it comes to picking a course, guys, don't scrimp and save. Get yourself on the best possible course you can. Contact your local association of hoof trimmers. They are all over the world, and they usually have a preferred trainer or a group of preferred trainers that you guys can look up and then choose according to your budget. What I would say is, don't go for a 1 day or a 2 day course. They are more aimed at herdsmen or dairymen or whoever is looking for a basic understanding of how to routinely foot trim. You guys need a professional one, either a 4 day or a 5 day course. There are lots and lots of different styles of hoof trimming, from Dutch to white line atlas, Kansas style, Dairyland, Japanese, and even one called the axial wall adaptation by Aaron Lavoie. So choose one which you think is going to be appropriate to you. In my case, I went for the Dutch method, that I felt that it catered for my customers and the cows I would be treating the best. And that's why, in my case, I waited for the world-renowned and legendary Peter Kloosterman, who has appeared in a couple of my videos and is actually now kind of a friend. Not a close friend, but a friend. He was trained by the original guy, Toussaint Raven, or Raven Toussaint, I never remember, who invented the Dutch style of hoof trimming. Peter Kloosterman is absolutely fantastic, so whoever you choose needs to be someone who has been training for quite a long time. And as soon as you finish your training, get back and get out there trimming, whether it's even for free for a local farm or do it on the cheap, just to make sure that you are practicing as soon as you've finished the course. It is vital for you to still practice exactly what you are being taught as quickly as you possibly can be. So all this talk of professional hoof trimming courses is expensive, but do you really need to do it? Is it law? Is it legislation? Is it frowned upon not to do it? Well, the basic outline of it is, it's not legal. There is no requirement for you to do any training whatsoever to be a professional hoof trimmer, which is absolutely bonkers. If you want to be a professional farrier, for instance, working on horses, then it's law. You're not allowed to practice as a farrier without completing the relevant courses and obtaining the relevant licenses. And really, it should be the same for hoof trimming. What's the difference between a horse and a cow? Apart from the feet, obviously. So why bother? Why go to all that trouble? Well, do you really want to go to a farm and when a customer of yours asks a question about the deep anatomy tissue of a cow's foot, not know the answer? Do you want to be able to tell them the difference between formalin and copper sulfate? Do you want to tell them the difference between the axial, the abaxial, the dorsal wall? Of course you do, and you're going to look really, really inferior if you're not able to really convey all of the different parts of a cow's anatomy and tell them why those cows are getting the problems they're getting. I can teach you lots on YouTube, but I cannot teach you to be completely fluent in the sort of anatomy of a cow's foot, and you really need hands-on tuition And more than that, you need somebody who's not invested in you in any way to be able to grade you, i.e. the trainer of the course. So once you've completed your professional hoof trimming course, you're going to want to be using a grinder, and this is where you might actually struggle, and it's where I've ended up helping quite a few people from across the world actually in how to train to use the grinder properly without hurting the cow and to the best of its use. One of the best ways to start learning to use a grinder is to actually get a piece of wood and grind away on it so that you know the feel of the blade in your hands. You can't just go and start trimming hoofs with a grinder without ever having touched something else before you actually touch an animal's hoof. What I did was I used a blade on a piece of wood until I really got a feel for the grinder, and then when I started trimming cows' feet, I actually started using a much less aggressive blade. And the blades in that actual disc were blunt themselves until eventually now I can't trim unless the blades are extremely sharp, because it just doesn't feel natural to me anymore. So after obtaining all of this essential training, and it is essential training, how do you actually go about getting work? Well, I don't know how you go about getting work, but here is how I managed to do it. So I know this won't be the same for you guys, but I was actually already involved in the farming community, and I knew where people had crushes of their own on the farm. I couldn't afford one, as you all know. So what I did to begin with was I sent out 12 letters to farmers who I knew were approachable and who I knew had crushes, and I actually offered to use their on-farm crush to trim cows at a reduced fee. Nowadays I would never consider doing that because it's so much more hard work than my crush that I've got right now. But to begin with, it was fantastic. It worked great for the customers, it worked great for me because I didn't need to clean up quite as much. It was already there and it was a reduced rate for the customer. At first I would trim around 20 to 25 cows in a day and I was chuffed to bits. I remember coming home trimming 29, nearly 30, and telling Ashley, Mrs. Hoof GP, how amazed I was that I was able to do nearly 30 cows in one day. Those early days were extremely hard work, backbreaking to be honest, using windy crushes and belly bands that I needed to literally throw around the cow. It got me off to a start and it could get you off to a start. I couldn't afford a crush, and if you can't afford a crush, you need to get started in some way. Don't go out and get financed up to the hilt. It really will not pay you dividends in the long run. This place is amazing, by the way, isn't it? We used to jump off that high ridge up there when we were kids, about 12 years old. If my son did that right now, I'd probably throttle him myself. Now you see, that was only ever going to last for a year or so, and it actually lasted about 8 or 9 months before I started to grow weary and tired of doing it all the time, and decided it was time for a crush of my own. Do you guys know how the story goes? I set about building my own one, eventually had enough money to build a fancier one and a fancier one again, until after a further 2.5 years I was able to buy another crush. So that brings me to today. I've been trimming cows for about 7.5, 8 years. My business has grown from strength to strength, and when I started it was nothing at all. So anybody looking to become a hoof trimmer needs to understand that it's going to be a lot of work, a lot of really exhaustingly hard work. It'll be difficult because you always won't get paid on time because you're self-employed, but being self-employed is a huge luxury and it's one that I love. I love my job so much. I love helping cows, I love working with different customers. Working with animals all the time is really rewarding, especially helping them. So you guys in the comments who are always asking, how do you become a professional hoof trimmer? The answer is, you go out, you get some money, pay for some training, get experience in cow handling, buy yourself, rent, or use the farmer's crush to begin with. Work as hard as you possibly can. Keep returning every 2 years for checkups, and do as much training and conference attending as possible. You actually learn a huge deal of information from other hoof trimmers, and everybody is willing to share knowledge and experience. The world of hoof trimming is a great one. I absolutely love it. And if you guys endeavour to do it, then I'll be training soon. I have a huge announcement coming up soon, hopefully this Friday evening on the live feed. So you guys should tune in then to find out more about what I've got to say to you. So they say Rome wasn't built a day, and neither was a hoof trimmer business. So if you're starting out, you'll need some sort of income to back you up, whether that's working on a farm, milking cows, working in a restaurant, working wherever you like. But the key to becoming a hoof trimmer is training, approachability, willing to work hard, and basically my ethos is work harder than everybody else, do as good a job as I possibly can, and try and price myself in amongst everybody. So then there's no real reason for anybody to leave you, is there? So after that long cold walk through the Scottish countryside, it's nice to be in here next to this big fire, waiting on a latte and some cakes. I hope this has really cleared up how you can become a professional hoof trimmer, and if it hasn't, and there's any more questions, leave them in the comments below.